Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. How's Denise and Ron doing this evening?
Doing good. How you doing?
Doing real good. I'm enjoying the cool weather up here, finally.
Not here.
I mean,
Hey,
right now
Nigel.
up here, it is 61 degrees.
Wow. Right now?
Right now.
Are you kidding?
No,
It's raining?
no, sunshine.
Wow. Man, you're going to have snow here in a few weeks.
Hey, this is amazing for us. It's 91 and feels like 90.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I mean, it's been beautiful
Yeah,
up
it's
here
wasn't
the
bad at all.
last 4 or 5 days. I mean, we've only been, I think we hit 81 as a high for the last 5 days, mainly in the 70s, and at night down in the 60s to high 50s.
Damn.
So,
So,
August.
so that means
Yeah.
that you're still having to mow every week.
oh yeah, oh well,
Our
yeah,
grass is dead. We're proud.
Brown.
We're proud of our brown grass. You're saving
Yeah,
the
we're-
environment by not mowing.
we're nice and green, and everything's growing and stuff like that. So, but okay, why won't that go down? There we go. But yeah. Hi, Nigel. Nigel made it in he got in just as we went live.
Yeah, we told him hi when you were talking.
And there's Ron's mom. There's
Hello,
mom.
Hey, Mom.
So tonight our guests are some other people may know them as Bigfoot and the Bunny. I know them as Chris Carr and Kristen Johnson. And I interviewed Chris a long time ago before we had video, back on probably 2 different networks that I was on. So it's nice to catch up and find out what's been going on with Chris and Kristen.
Right. So we'll bring them up. Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Thank you
Mike.
for having us.
So how did you guys get started in the podcast world?
Well, we started off doing podcasts that was no video as well, and I think we just went
Did
past
audio.
5 years
Yeah.
of doing these things, and we didn't really keep up with the audio podcast, but we have some out there under Dark Horse Paranormal, and we had a pretty interesting experience. I was into the paranormal, and seeing Kristen, and Kristen was not into the paranormal, but lived in a haunted location and was having phenomena occurring in her place, which is still what?
1740.
Yeah, 1740. It's really an old building in Massachusetts, and finally she relented, let me to investigate it, and it was very simple. I just used a digital recorder, Tascam that we still use, and an old hack shack, or shack hack, sorry,
Right.
spirit box. And we got a ton of data in 20 minutes. We did 10 minutes just talking and 10 minutes with the box. And we got our name back. We got all these EVPs. There's 3 EVPs and stuff on the box that was really relevant. And that freaked Kristen right the hell out, right?
Yeah.
She really wanted nothing to do with this stuff. She thought I was nuts doing it. And the reason being childhood experiences, which we both had pretty haunted childhoods. And
I had shadow people
talk about it.
from since I can remember. So I had 2 shadow figures in my life. I could also feel other spirits around, but I wanted nothing to do with them because of the 2 shadow figures that would mess with me. And it was a lot. So growing up, my mom taught me a lot about nature and things. And I went to catechism, but still believed in, outside nature-based religions, we'll say. And during that time, I found my presence to be just, and nature's presence together to be resonating. And I could deal with that, but I couldn't deal with the spirits hearing things and seeing, and it was a lot for me.
It's like fears. You actually
it
got
was
pushed
trauma.
downstairs when you were a kid.
Yes.
That was
I felt a big
important
hand.
detail.
Yeah,
down a flight of
pushed me down the
stairs.
stairs. It was a lot. toys going off. I mean, I was little. I was like 4 years old, and that I can remember these starting. So
It's a funny thing, most of the people that we've interviewed, almost all of them, and we've been doing this for a long time, and we were doing 2 shows a week. That was a lot of people we talked to. Almost all of them had haunted childhoods in some way. And
Mhm.
science does say that kids can remember things like it was real, but it still feels pretty real. And it seems like, it's a driving force for those people later in life to get into paranormal things, to be drawn to them, become investigators or researchers or what have you. Same thing with Bigfoot, with alien phenomena, alien abduction phenomena in particular. And I had my stuff. In fact, I grew up for a couple of years when I was very young in a house that's maybe, I don't know, half a mile from where we are right now, and had like just these crazy experiences. Um, I, they're kind of morbid. They involve these clowns. I had these clown dolls that were Stife. I don't know if you know what Stife dolls are. They're kind of famous for making the teddy bear
Yep.
after Teddy Roosevelt. And these were Stife, like meaning they had wire bodies with like cloth over them and balsa wood heads with the faces painted on, like hand painted. And one was like a little taller than me, and one fit into my hands, and I was smaller. Um, I was in preschool at the time, and in my memory, and I'm not saying this absolutely is real 100%, but it was real to me. They became alive and they were trying to kill my parents, and it was always, they were plotting to kill my parents. And it's crazy, and I have these crazy memories of it. The big one was the most nefarious creature I ever encountered, and the little one was kind of like a spy, and he would tip me off and say, the big guy's gonna kill your mom tonight. He's gonna kill both of your parents with a knife, and that kind of stuff. And I was just petrified of these things. And I have memories of burying them in the backyard one night, and that kind of stuff. And it's crazy. So I know it sounds bananas, and they seem to come to life. And I'm not saying again that the balsa wood head split wide open with teeth and that kind of thing, but that is how I remember. So I think those kind of experiences play a role in being involved. And maybe you guys yourselves had some childhood experiences as well, and being interested in the paranormal. But anyways, getting back to the original question, Kristen and I, you had this weird dynamic for years. It was a very weird thing. I was interested in these things and go on investigations. I used to be on paranormal teams and that sort of thing, like a long time ago. And she got into it eventually, and it took how long? I forget. It was like 3 weeks.
it was 3 weeks just to listen
To
to
even
the
listen
EVPs.
back to the stuff, and I was like blown away. I'm like, oh my god! I spent entire nights and homes and hoping to get a just some little thing or anything, any kind of data, and then there was like this treasure trove of data, some of which I got on a soundboard. We can play for you, or you can check out our show, whatever. We got podcasts on them. Again, if you are a podcast listener, look for Dark Horse Paranormal. You'll hear all that stuff and us tell the story in more detail. But yeah, so she eventually listened, and like that was it. Like, when you got over it, you were more into it than I was. So we started doing stuff, and we really, especially out of the gate, we had like a ton of luck. It just seemed like the energy and the chemistry really between us was right to get data, and data we got. So that started it. We did podcasts of it somehow, having done other shows with Clarissa, you mentioned Hidden World was a show we had. We wanted to do that too. So we did. And we did our Dark Horse Paranormal audio podcasts and Bigfoot and the Bunny, and we're on various networks with that. And 5 years later, we've been kind of on hiatus most of this year, but we're still going to do something before the year's out and get it going again or something.
There's been a lot that's gotten away, like life has gotten in the way. So
yeah, it was very time consuming doing it 2 nights a week and preparing for the shows, and also to do our research, and we get into like different ideas about what the paranormal is and philosophies, and we're occult practitioners. It's another thing is a little different, maybe different for your audience. That's played a role, talking to spirits, and it's something that's grown over the 5 years a lot, even though that kind of extends further than that. And we're a little haunted, I guess. Like, we can't go on an investigation and nothing happens now. And we're not too
Right.
supernatural, but I think we're all spirits. You know what I mean? We're all ghosts. We're living ghosts, I guess, right?
I mean, if
Not
we were
good, yeah.
all a little haunted, we wouldn't really probably be interested.
Right.
You
Right.
know, not that I mean, Ron, I don't think you're haunted. He's really interested. He was interested, haunted. Like me.
No.
You didn't live in a haunted
No.
house. You didn't. I mean, every house I lived in was haunted,
No.
including the ones I lived in with him.
Now, Ron, are you more the skeptic? Would you be more like, well, maybe that didn't happen, of the two of you?
Oh no. No, I mean I always look for, something else
First.
first. But I've experienced way too many things to know that it is true.
It's a
There
real
are
thing.
spirits out there.
We tease a lot of people that we were married 11 years before he realized that I could see and talk to spirits.
Wow.
But yeah,
But I didn't tell him
if
either.
I hear a noise or anything like that, I look, for the obvious first. I'm not thinking, oh, that's paranormal.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
I don't zack it.
Oh, God.
Right. And we
Right.
don't either. Although the
No.
lines of like going like, oh man, we got to debunk everything. They've become a little bit more muddy over time. And I think we're probably more accepting, of it. And we don't get scared as often. We did have something follow us home, and that was kind of a thing, and that was a little frightening.
Very.
Because it seemed negative, and
It was
weird
very
things
negative.
kept happening for a while. And the only way we were able to actually get rid of it was to stop thinking about it and just not do
We moved on with other things.
sessions and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was really bad.
And a lot of people say don't do spirit box sessions in your home and that sort of work. Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's a good
And
idea.
I
good
think
thing to advocate for, because it can lead to bad things, and we experienced it. We could tell you firsthand, but we also still do it. So,
We don't.
I
not
tell
everything is-
people
Right.
not to investigate where you sleep.
no, it's good advice. The experiences we had, they were terrible, so they sucked.
Thank you.
Don't recommend that to anyone.
Yeah.
But
man.
not everything is negative either. I mean,
That's right.
We don't
No.
find things.
We find most things to be quite positive. Really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys do private residences? I mean, I know you do, Chris, because you did Kristen's.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of them in the past when I was on teams. Now we don't so much. I mean, our own
We do once
residences
in-
are pretty
Yeah.
haunted. We do occasionally, yeah, and with other people we'll go or be invited to go to a residence and do it. But it isn't like we're doing 2 a month or anything.
No.
It's pretty rare. And we're open to it, but I don't know. We just
Well, I mean, you guys are up in the Northeast, where history says it's more haunted than a lot of other places in the country. Do you find that to be true?
I don't know if it's, because we really haven't investigated in other parts of the country too much, or other countries, which is really something we'd like to
Oh,
do.
love to do. Yeah.
Love to do where, people have lived for a lot longer, or at least left structures,
Yeah,
of
we're
it.
we're very into ancient civilizations and stuff like that.
Yeah, in history. I mean, it's certainly a rich white people history here, but it's I don't know, it feels invasive sometimes to investigate that. But that stuff comes up. We did a kind of history lesson podcast about the Native American hauntings, the indigenous people. That was pretty good, and the history is much different really when you start to dig into it than we're taught in school. Thanksgiving isn't really like they say.
They were doing the government eugenics and everything. It's just really sad.
Yeah, that stuff carried on up until like the 90s, or the
70s.
sterilizations, and it's some really awful history there. It's just terrible, but it's worth knowing, and it's certainly a good reason to haunt a location. King Philip's War was fought up here, and that was the bloodiest of all the battles between the white man and the indigenous people. And more people died on both sides in that. There were rapes, scalpings were going on both sides, which is commonly thought to just be something they did. That's not true at all. There's really some really dark history here. So maybe, but we don't have a lot to compare it to. You know what I mean? We haven't really gone to Europe to investigate, Rome or
I'd like to go to New Orleans.
Göbekli Tepe or something like that.
Yes, I want to go back there. We haven't been since 2004, 2005. Whenever Katrina happened, we were there before. And now we live 3 hours from there. So now we've got more opportunity. But we hear that it's a boiling bowl of water right there now. This time of year. You don't want to be there.
Yeah, it's a strange year too with the storms and the way the jet streams are working.
We're getting what Carl was saying earlier, like 64-degree weather. It's really weird the way the jet stream just
lately, and it was so hot early on, and we've been getting more unusual fish in our waters, like tropical fish that we don't normally see up in the north.
You guys, we was it tarpon?
Yeah, a guy caught a tarpon up here. Just recently, like a 70-pound tarpon.
Really?
Like
Yeah, we don't get those.
Yeah, there's pictures of it. I should post it because I was shocked. I'm like, well, that's a Florida fish.
I didn't think it was tarpon up in that part of the ocean.
There aren't.
There isn't.
The furthest north they go is usually when the water's really warm, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So they're actually around here now.
Yeah, I caught it on Cape Cod, which
warmed.
is not far from here.
Wow.
I see Greg Costa out in the audience. I got to see.
Yeah, Greg's there.
Hey, Greg.
We love Greg.
Crystal and Gary and
Susan,
Susan.
Mike, Tom, my mom.
Yep. We got all kinds of peoples. So, for us my family was on the Trail of Tears, so it's good to hear somebody else talk about the true history of the indigenous people. Technically, we're all Native Americans because we were all born here.
Right.
But indigenous is a whole different ballgame. My family was on the Trail of Tears and got moved to Oklahoma.
Wow.
So, and then they left Oklahoma and went to Iowa, where my great grandmother got killed by a pack of wolves. And the settlers in the area left her out there with her children to die. And because my great grandfather was out, he had taken his furs and stuff to town to sell, and he came back, and my great grandmother had to bury her mother and take care of the baby because nobody else would.
Oh, it's awful.
After that, they moved to Virginia and denounced that they were indigenous at all. Just said that they were Irish.
Wow.
That happens a lot.
Well, it was for safety.
Yeah.
For safety.
Oh,
Survival.
Yeah.
Yes, Crystal. Some people don't get the difference between native versus indigenous.
Yes.
So
They don't.
but the history there is so whitewashed. And I don't mean that as in white people washed. I mean whitewashed to where it's acceptable. And so
I hope it's a little different. I mean, my kids are getting older, but when I was growing up and Kristen was growing up, you do the construction paper Thanksgiving thing, and it just wasn't that way at all. I really recommend that people listen to it. I can't recall all the history, all the historic facts, but we did research this stuff heavily. It took us like a couple of months to put it together, and there's a lot of stuff in that podcast.
I bet.
Crazy about the diseases and the diseases we brought over here and what the original settlers really were facing. The diseases had already wiped out all the tribes that were even close to the shores and stuff. So they didn't know how to grow anything. They didn't know how to really live off the land, and they were kind of stuck here. There's rumors of cannibalism and that sort of thing. And somewhat documented. That of course they never touch a middle school, right?
They don't teach.
No,
Right.
in
Night
junior
night.
high school, I had to do a report on Native Americans, and they said you needed to interview someone. Okay, so this is in Baltimore at the time. So I lived in Baltimore, and they just told us, interview somebody that you believe is an Indian. Okay, that's what they were called in the 80s or in the 70s, Indians.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to my grandmother about our family history, and I came back and I told them that, and I got a D.
Wow.
Told them the truth, and I got a D. He
Wow.
said
Yep.
that they told me I didn't do my research. And I said, why should I have to do research on family history?
Right.
Right.
Oh,
And I said, this is
them.
right.
isn't the indigenous way through verbal?
Yes. Like a lot
It's
of,
not written down.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of cultures are oral.
Mhm.
You know?
Oral traditions. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, that's hard for people to understand these days. So now I try to get more stuff taped, recorded, written down, so that I don't have to misremember it, or it's there for the kids to hear later on. Because, I don't know if my kids realize that they're part Cherokee and Blackfoot.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if they know. I don't know if they care. And really, I think when you get to a certain point, I think our generation cares more than what the newer generations do.
I
Right.
think so as well. I believe that.
Yeah, it seems like it. It's more of a blend. I mean, this is the melting pot, right? I had a full-blooded Spanish grandmother, and she's Spanish from Nicaragua, and, and so I've got when I do my DNA test, it comes back with like Central American type blood and that sort of thing. But where my father grew up, he had always told me stories so that people were kind of looked down on them because he had slightly darker skin than some of the other kids and dark hair and that sort of thing. And that was growing up in his generation, right? Generation before ours. And, that stuff just exists. And I think we're getting away from some of that. Sometimes it comes back, and I don't want to mention that the word that starts with P and ends with ticks. But
Right.
No.
that's the thing. I don't want to go there. Like we were saying before the show.
No. But I mean,
it's like,
that dark stuff created our history, which in turn may have created our hauntings.
it may have.
May have.
It definitely, there are some tragic deaths out there for sure. If that's part of it,
Right.
that's a thing. It's a residual haunting, if we want to call it that. Or whether a spirit is actually just lost, and can't seem to cross over because of events leading up into their physical demise.
And I do
Yeah, 'cause
realize
there's things like that all over the United States.
Mhm.
Like up in our area. This is the area where they had the Mormon Wars between the local settlers and the Mormons. And in 1836, Caldwell County was given to the Mormons. And in 1838, the governor issued an executive order to eradicate all Mormons out of Caldwell County.
Wow.
So, yeah, you got a lot of history like that all
Yeah.
over the country that bad things happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. We had the Salems up here,
Yeah.
and we have, the witches, of course, which are very interesting to us. And also, like, Quakers were treated like witches, which is, not in today's terms, doesn't seem that far out. But back then, they were treated so harshly. They were, abused, hung, sometimes arrested on the boats, or have like their ears cut off, and really
They were branded. They
terrible things that were being done to them, arriving here for
Right.
new life
Yeah.
and religious freedom. Like we like to think of it, but then it
It
really
was.
wasn't that way.
Yeah, I remember
There you go.
going to Pennsylvania and having we went to this Quaker farm, and they gave us a history of stuff in their life. This was back in 1975.
Oh,
Yeah, not 2075. Back,
1875.
no, 19. We went and because living in Baltimore, we got all kinds of fun field trips. We went to see the Amish. We went to meet the Quakers, and it was really, again, they whitewashed it because we were 10. But they did tell us the truth on a lot of other things that people needed to know. And, it's strange when you hear about it because, the Quakers were, same as the Mormons, ordered out to somewhere else.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
how many of them ended up in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Yeah, they would have to leave, especially here at the Mass Bay colonies. Now we're in Rhode Island right now, and Rhode Island was sort of a safe place for them, but in Massachusetts and Boston, the big harbor, it was not. And if anybody's interested, you could Google something like the Boston Martyrs, and
Mhm.
you'll get a whole bunch of history right there. There's another thing we talk about a lot, and we learned the history, and that came about from investigating a cemetery up our way where we had a lot of experiences, and we're kind of fond of some of those boneyards, but very respectful. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. With all of this stuff, we are just like super respectful to it, and we say the history to people who are listening for those very reasons, because I think people should remember the dead and remember what their lives were like. It's a good reason right there. It's a way of showing respect. That's how we mean it, and not just because it's morbid or something, or morbid curiosity. I mean,
Right.
everybody looks at a car accident when they go by. It's no lie, but truly, these people live lives that are unique and different than the way we live today.
Yeah, we researched a lot of the people that we find in the area graveyards just to find out what their life was, and I consider us to be cemetery enthusiasts.
Mhm.
I want to know more about these people we've met.
Well, you'll find out a lot just looking at their tombstones and the pictures and everything else, any items they have. You can kind of learn about their life.
Yeah, we found this one that we were just drawn to, and we were walking through the graveyard and we saw this one headstone, and it had musical notes on one side and a microphone and
big picture of him.
Yeah, picture of him and everything, and looking at him. And I told Ron, I said, his picture's been taken in a graveyard. I said, I think it's this one.
Yeah, it was.
So on his gravestone was this picture of him in front of the gravestone in the very front of the graveyard.
Yeah, the big one.
Wow. And I told him, I said, I've seen that. And, we haven't lived here that long. So for me to have seen it.
That was our first time being there.
Yeah, it was our first time there. And we went
happened to park right in front of it almost.
Yeah. We went to the flea market here. And we were talking to Mark Fultz. You may know him. He's been on my show. He's a psychic medium and a channeler. And he goes, well, how's everything going? I said, fine. I said, but I keep seeing this guy walking out here on the road. He looks happy. I said, that's about it. Found out it's the same guy.
Really?
That
wow.
Whose gravestone it was. He had gotten killed just down the street from there. I don't know this, So at this point in time, I don't know anybody from anything. So it was one of those unusual things that now I look for this guy every time we're drive by at the flea market, going down that road. I look for him.
That's a real synchronicity, right?
Yes, that's what I was going to say too. Yeah.
We follow those synchronicities. I think they're
very important.
But some of those gravestones are so interesting. The stories that they tell, and what about the stories we don't even know related to them?
Right.
That's right. It's such a different world. We had the vampire thing up here too, right? Which is kind of interesting. The
Nellie Bond. We had Nellie Bond, but
Mercy Brown,
Brown.
Consumption.
Oh, consumption.
That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, I haven't said it in a while. Consumption that took them. It was explainable people, but a lot of the small townspeople thought people were vampires. And the Mercy Brown story is pretty interesting. If you're not familiar with that, Mercy Brown died of consumption after I think her mother had died, and was there another kid? I don't know if I want to tell the whole story because I haven't looked at it in a while. But I don't know. Are you guys familiar with the Rhode Island vampires and that sort of thing?
I know a little bit something.
A little bit.
I know the Mercy Brown story because I've heard it.
I don't want to misquote it, but it's very interesting, and it winds up her father, they end up disemboweling her. They cut out her heart, and for the sake of her younger brother, who also had consumption. At that time, the thinking was the folk medicine that was going around town to town in fear and panic was that you could mix the ashes with oil and drink it and cure it. And he drank it and it didn't cure him. So poor guy lost his whole family.
Yeah.
But Mercy Brown, pretty interesting. And that's a fun place to visit, I guess, if you want to say that. It's one of those headstones where there's always things on it. People leave coins and they make sort of a shrine out of it and leave things from keys to jewelry and all sorts of things on there.
Yeah.
It's quite a story.
Marie Laveau's is the one I want to go to, but you have to go on a tour to go. You cannot go.
No.
Yeah, it used to be that you could get to the graveyard until noon every day. And then they changed it, and you have to go on a tour, and a tour guide has to take you in there to any of the St. Louis cemeteries there in New Orleans. So 1 through 5. And so we're going to go. We'll let you know how it goes.
Yes.
If we make it
Yeah, we'd like to know.
It's really interesting.
I'd like to know. I guess some other big haunted areas up here. We have the Conjuring House, which is like 20 minutes from where we are. And Lizzie Borden is not far from here either, and been to those. Those are pretty well known. I imagine. I know people come in from all over for those.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You've been to Gettysburg, right?
No, we've never been. We talk about it every year, and we never end up going. So no,
it's not that far.
Not that far.
No, I know.
Yeah,
Might be expensive to get there based on the turnpikes, but yeah.
Yeah, no, we made the ride. We've been by it, but we haven't been in it. We haven't done the Gettysfield Bash or anything yet. And I don't know. We may. I don't know. We just feel strange about the whole thing. Like we're kind of like, as far as like hauntings go. Love the history. We've looked into the history, that sort of thing. I think our first podcast was about that. We talked to Jack Kenna at that time, and it talked a lot about the Civil War. And he was in Gettysburg when we talked to him. And we learned a lot about it, but we just never went. We've always wanted to go since. But I don't know. We're got enough ghosts right here.
Yeah. First time I went was 76, 77 to Gettysburg. And I was the strange kid that was told not to talk to anything that nobody else could see.
That's really
Denise,
cool.
keep your mouth shut so you can make it home alive.
Was it kind of more obscure then in the 70s where people
in the 70s people did
going?
not talk about hauntings?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's really early.
In your area they did, but down in Pennsylvania and
No,
Maryland,
not even in their area.
Around here, if you talked anything about ghosts, you were a crazy person.
Yes.
The crazy old lady
you guys
lives
had
down
Ed
the
and
street,
Lorraine.
Yeah.
My mother told me that when I told her about the shadow people, I kept telling her, and she's like, don't tell anybody. Don't tell any of the family. Don't tell your best friend. Don't tell anybody, because you'll end up, somewhere. Looney bin or something. So.
Yeah. You're kind of nuts.
She said,
this is before, the Atlantic Paranormal Society or TAPS and Ghost Hunters was on TV and that kind of stuff. Well, some of that existed, it wasn't commonly accepted.
Yeah. So everywhere I lived, it was not accepted at all. I mean, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, you name it, it was not accepted. It was not accepted until, let's see. Well, he found out in 95 that I could see stuff. But I mean, I'd always had, and I just never really talked about it. I mean, it was ingrained in me not to say anything.
I believe
Yes.
it for sure.
Me
And
too.
I'm glad that it's more acceptable now that you can talk about these things, and we have outlets like this one,
Yes.
to talk about it, because there's always people at home that still feel like that. Or, I can't tell you, like when I go to work, I talk about this stuff extensively. I'm a little quiet about that side of our lives because there's still a stigma there. I don't want it to affect my career in any way.
Right.
Well, we have a meeting at work.
You bring it up at work, you said?
Yes, I don't.
How's that come up?
Yeah, he
No.
asks me
No,
that all the time.
Oh,
How's
yeah.
it come up?
Sorry.
Oh, that's right.
It's-
So it's the cat.
Yeah. No, Chris. Yeah. No.
Yeah, we've got a couple of cats around here. One's in a window next to us. I thought it was that. It's Chris.
It was me.
I'm snoozing on the floor right now.
Out.
Debunked.
So talking about the indigenous people, that's they're an animistic or shamanistic type society. That's another thing we're kind of into, attributing spirit to more things than just people. Panpsychism is another area that we look into.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah.
What does that word mean?
All right. So it's the view that all things have a mind or a mind-like quality, meaning consciousness, that the spirit can habitate in, material objects we would normally associate as being conscious. So this comes up with things like trees, right? Trees are sentient. Trees are aware of other trees. Trees do things that most people don't realize. They'll favor their offspring. And divert nutrients through their roots, through the fungi that live in our soil and around trees. That's right, mycelium will divert nutrients, and they'll make other trees aware of insect attacks and infestations and things like that. And I think that's really fascinating. We love that. Like, oh wow, there it is. There's kind of the evidence, or if you will, that there's more than us. We live in our own heads all the time and tend to think that we're the only things that can be conscious. We can't prove any of it. For all I could know, I am the only conscious one here, and I'm talking to myself, and I'm talking to a bunch of heads on a screen, and you're not real. I'm dreaming this.
That's when you go into quantum physics. So
yeah, I mean, it gets heady, and we like that kind of like thinking,
Yeah.
because it's a little outside the box, right? I mean, I trust that Kristen is real,
God,
and,
I
and
hope
has
so.
her own consciousness, but how can I even prove, that anybody is conscious thinking the same stuff that we might be thinking, or I'm thinking, or she's thinking? You really can't, so there's a problem with all of that, and our spirit's real, and that sort of thing. We think that we are, spirits in a human form. Panpsychism, it tries to answer that problem.
They froze up.
Yep.
Oh,
Should we get a picture of it?
yeah, there you go.
You guys,
Bigfoot and the bunny.
our
we go. They're
We're
back.
That's so weird.
Yeah, our internet. I saw the icon change to like the globe thing.
Yeah.
And that's when you're not on Wi-Fi or you're plugged in. We do have a cable actually run into a router from this computer because we don't trust the Wi-Fi ever.
Right.
That's mine.
Yeah,
Always
so that was-
hardwired.
Maybe we're haunted. I don't know. But I was talking about the hard problem of consciousness, right? And that's the idea that physical phenomena like brain processes is different than like experiences, right? So you can look at the physicality of things, and then you can say, well, you were self-aware and we have experiences. It's not the same thing when and it lends the thought that objects could be haunted, for example. All right. How do you explain haunted objects, right? Spirit could habitate in, a doll or something like that.
So pan basically means everything from Greek, right?
That's right.
Greek.
It's Greek. Pan it means all and everything, and psych means mind or soul.
Consciousness.
That's right.
Mhm.
Conscious. So yeah, we think consciousness can pervade what would normally be considered inert matter, and I think it's very interesting, and it might explain some things. We're trying to figure out all the answers. That not
Yeah.
that we can know them all, but we got to try.
We're all trying.
Right.
Tell us about Bigfoots. That's what we want to know.
Yeah, are they real?
Yeah, the show, right?
Yeah, it is the name of the show. It's actually
Yeah.
it's a pun between her and I.
Convince me they're real.
Well, I've never been foot, and so I can't tell you. I've heard some very convincing stories.
Mhm.
I think the idea of non-human creatures existing or cryptids is very possible.
Mhm.
Again,
Oh, yeah.
talking about panpsychism and consciousness, I think other things could be conscious. I think our senses as people is really limited, having 5 well-known senses, right, to interpret what we call reality is a very limited thing. You don't know what's around us. Do you see gravity? Do you see magnets? Do we know how, like, a magnet? Do you see the magnetic attraction
Right.
between two magnets? No. There could absolutely be fields that we aren't really aware of that might be around living creatures, be around the landscape, the planet, that we're just not aware of yet. Science hasn't caught up with it. That maybe explain things like psychic phenomena. How can you have a group think? How can somebody read somebody else's mind, and that sort of thing, or predict their future? And the examples of those things have been shown to us pretty clearly that it exists, and it's rather hard to explain.
There's a lot of things hard to explain in the Bigfoot, cryptics, aliens, even paranormal.
Absolutely.
To prove exactly it's true.
Right.
We try.
I'm having trouble with just the human part.
Exactly.
It's true. It's hard to even just get along with other humans sometimes, especially
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Get cantankerous, like, oh.
I mean, but there's a lot of things out there that triggers your mind to think outside the box.
Mhm.
One thing will lead you to this. Well, look at Bigfoot. Is it an actual creature? Is it a alien transported down and back and forth, a cryptid? It could be declined in a lot of things.
Is it a
Absolutely.
mammal? Is it a primate?
Right.
Yeah.
We
Is he
can't prove or disprove any of it.
extra dimensional, or
No, but-
is he out there living and breathing?
Right. They've been seeing
No.
them around the world since.
And
ages.
why does every time somebody see one with the modern technology and cell phones and
It's a
cameras
blurry
we got
camera.
now, it's always a blurry ass damn film
Yeah.
or too far away and you can't zoom it in.
It's
It's the same with aliens and really ghosts. I mean,
fairies.
I've seen
All
some
kinds of
really
things.
convincing. We've seen like some convincing ghost footage, but
Oh yeah.
it's not
Oh,
like
yeah.
with all this tech we have today. You'd think there'd just be a ton of it, And we've seen things we don't have a picture of. It happens too fast.
Yeah.
It's
That's
boom,
that
it's there.
happens
It's
to
not.
everybody, right?
It could be the corner of your eye, and maybe you just see it right there, and it's almost like intentional to the person, right? You can have a group of like 10 people in a haunted location, and 3 of them see the ghost in front of them, the
Yeah.
apparition, and the rest of them, I didn't see that. I was
Or
looking
they
right
hear
there.
something.
Well,
They hear
it's
someone
like me and
whisper.
Denise
Yeah.
have talked before.
We've seen that happen.
Put 3 mediums in a room and there's a spirit in there. Get them all 3 out. All 3 of them seen 3 different things.
Yep.
They'll never see the exact same thing usually.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
they'll
something.
describe it differently.
Right.
So they
that
present
idea,
themselves in a different way to each person.
Yep.
that idea waves around people may be what they use to create those things, to manipulate a recorder, for example, put a voice in. We've talked about the whispery EVPs that people tend to get. Maybe it's caused by their actual breath. They're all in a room and it's probably warm, and you've got 5 people in a room and is breathing. And you could take that noise, that white noise of breathing, and turn it into a word, that manipulation of the vibrations that are already present the frequencies that are already there and turn it into some sort of word. Seems
audio paranoia.
a possibility to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where that comes from, or why so many EVPs sound like that. Hello.
Well, I mean, when I think about it, you figure there's a diaphragm somewhere within your microphones, whatever.
That's right.
And maybe the heat, it's expanding and contracting with, all the people. But you also see people holding their recorders like this, not knowing that there's a little microphone right here.
Yeah, right.
And they're just doing this.
They're recording the fingernail. But
They
I
don't
still
even
think
realize it.
even that noise could be turned into something else that is like a clear word,
Yeah.
something
Mhm.
just because it's present and the vibrations existed. I think that's really a possibility. Just like it may be with light, and that's how some of the photographs that we see actually occur that are genuine. And how do you prove it out? Like, is that a real photograph or not? If you just
And see, that's the problem we all have these
I
days.
immediately doubt. I don't know. I'm
Well-
sure some of them are real.
Well, that's just like your spirit box, your hack shacks,
Mhm.
right? You got to remember, from the very first broadcast over a radio wave, is still bouncing around up in the air.
Yeah.
Everything after that is still bouncing around. You may get it through there anytime. You can't prove that it isn't.
That the static that everybody hears, I don't know if a lot of people know this, is caused by lightning. It's lightning in the atmosphere. We'll say.
It's storms. Yeah,
Yep.
it can be
And
far away,
that's-
and that is what static is.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
and our bodies carry like 100 watts just sitting of energy, of electricity, I should say. It's like energy put in, converted into electricity. So just that alone with our energy in that, and the box and anything could be whipped up. And like you said, something from a long time ago from the past could just fly by, say something.
Oh, yeah, you could have Orson Welles' story come across
Yeah.
in it and go, oh, my God, they landed. Oh, they're here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that, but that can happen.
Frequency and
Oh,
vibration.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
what it-
bet, and it's had to happen more than 100,000 times with a spirit box with somebody using it. And they go, oh, I got something.
Yeah.
If
No,
you get a
no,
phrase like that and go, wow, you might want to research that phrase and say, has this ever been said in a radio broadcast?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's
So-
better when you get a sentence and it's fast moving. But sometimes we find the stuff buried in the sound. We do like
Yeah.
ghost boxes, and we know, fully aware that you could debunk a lot of it to radio and that sort of thing too. But I don't think it all is. Again, it's kind of like a painter's palette. I think you're giving the spirit something to work with, and it's that manipulation of the existing frequencies is kind of what we think causes a lot of the phenomena that we see. It could be the same for alien abductions too, really.
If
Yeah.
the spirits are out there, just look how much energy they have to use to be able to communicate and come through one of these devices.
Just to utter a word,
Yes, a word,
a sound.
let alone a sentence.
So it would make sense that they would use something that was already existing, right? And just change it a little to make those words. So it's a two-way thing. It's like you could debunk it and say, well, it must just be the radio and stuff that's on the radio. And then on the other hand, it's like, well, that was kind of a long sentence and it was exactly an answer to a question we asked. So we got to give it a little bit more weight, and it seems like it's easier to get those kind of responses from something that produces a noise, right? Albeit from lightning strikes or Schumann resonance and other things I think we're
Schumann
going to talk about.
resonance. Yeah.
Then saying, all right, just asking a question to the air and holding out a recorder, right? Your answers. I mean, how many very long EVPs have you heard? They're usually pretty limited in how many syllables they have.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Greg asks me to ask you about yours and his garlic challenge.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a yearly thing now.
Yes.
Mr. Koss likes to, he has this awesome garlic. He grows it himself and he sends it to us, and it is so good.
He's a botanist.
He really is.
He's a gardener. That's how we say it up here in the Northeast.
God, no.
You're a gardener,
Yeah,
Greg.
Yeah, only the last R is allowed to be there.
Right.
So we've got a box of garlic ready to go. And last year we went on the air and on a show and did the garlic challenge. You got to eat it raw. So
Yeah,
that's a good time.
that's a good
Oh, I
time.
bet you do it at. Do you have to get a lot of air freshener after that?
I'll tell you, yeah, a lot of toothpaste and scope and
Yeah.
that kind of thing too.
Right.
But it's great to cook with. We used it all, Greg, last year. So
So what are your thoughts on the AI that's being used now to kind of trick people into believing that something is in their photos or in their video? Well,
You
Can't
videos,
trust any
photos,
photos now.
recordings.
no,
We
it gets better
don't
and better.
trust anything.
It's
like
amazing. And it's fun in the music world, but not maybe for some of the musicians. You can hear
Yeah.
songs sung by other people, and that's kind of fun. You can sample someone's voice and use it in some other song,
It should be illegal.
but yeah, it
I
does cross
really
some
should.
lines. I think another question is like, will it become sentient? Right? That's a lot
the
of
question.
things
Because
that people ask.
they're actually putting like this was a fungus. We watched some documentary fungus in the chips to make it sentient. I have to look that up. But yeah, that's what they're starting to do now in some chips, and it's making it alive, which is sentient, giving it its own brain, its own function.
And
Mhm.
behaving a certain
Then
way.
doesn't that become cannibalism?
I don't
Yeah.
At one point.
Maybe. I mean, it's that whole Terminator thing. I don't
it's
know.
like
if it can
Terminator,
fully
AI,
become sentient.
Maximum Overdrive, iRobot,
Yeah.
all those movies put together and just like that's it.
I
It's
don't
just
know.
gonna
It
be
could.
like that.
I don't
Well,
know how conscious
Used
it
to, everybody said, well, that picture is photoshopped. Now you say it's AI shopped.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's amazing how
That's right.
handy that's
Oh,
getting.
the AI has gotten,
And
you
it's
know,
just
you used
starting.
to have to buy all the software to do AI. Now there's so many free sites that everybody can do a picture, a video, anything they want with it.
I need
Absolutely.
to go find some of them sites. One that'll do my work for me now that I can't do my work like I used to with AI.
I've got
Since
a
I
few.
changed jobs, I can't do the job I used to do for the company I work for now because they don't have the same software. So I can't do the same shit. And they're going, well, why can't you do it? Because you didn't pay for the software license.
Right.
Because my job was AI type stuff.
Really, I didn't realize that. Yeah,
I'm
it's
a pretty
so-
darn smart
there.
cookie here.
Yes, you are.
Oh yeah, you are. But there's stuff you can do it if you want to make pictures. But CapCut that's one we use.
Yeah, CapCut.
I know I've got a
Those are
few
good things.
bookmarked that are pretty good as far as making like banners or pictures and video. That's kind of like a direction something we may do is like more instead of doing live shows, doing more like pre-recorded shows with like some AI footage in it to create the things we're talking about, and hopefully explain it well enough in the video that people understand. I know we like to get into those heady topics like the panpsychism and that sort of thing, and just sort of apply it to things like paranormal, maybe it's a possibility of like, again, like haunted objects, animism is very, very interesting to us. It carried over to other cultures. Like the Greeks, believed the winds were gods, and they named them Boreas and things of that kind of nature, right? So they were very real. It's only more and more recent times that we decided none of that stuff's real.
Well, we had to do something. I mean, we got to change out everything every couple hundred years.
Yeah,
Make it
well, there may be
different.
something to it. Maybe that's why they believed it. It wasn't just for the simple reasons you think, but maybe things happened, and I have reasons to believe that there was a spirit of a river, for example, that was feeding the families of the people that lived around it.
Have you co-written any more books?
No, I have not written any more books, but I may. We've talked about it. We certainly have a lot of topics that we like to talk on, and they should put it all down, I guess, on a book or a video or maybe both. something at
Yeah.
some point. That's what I was talking about with the winter. We haven't been doing a
Maybe
lot.
you could play it through AI and it can type it all up for you.
Yeah,
and
AI could do it for
Sure.
us.
choose.
Well, it can write books. That's the scary part. And real authors really get pissed off at that.
Yeah,
And
I would too.
there's been lawsuits and that sort of thing. There's a whole a bunch of authors you can find. They're not real people on things like Amazon and the Kindle. In the occult world, there's like a Mari Silva that doesn't exist, and just seems to know something about everything. And books come out and they're just AI ripoffs of other books.
Mhm.
And I think that's horrible. It's a bad use of AI, very bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know, as far as writing, another book, I don't know. We'll see. It would be based on experiences, things AI couldn't do.
That's good because at least that would be unique.
Absolutely. Well, we try to keep it unique.
Yeah, Tom says he's annoyed watching YouTube videos using the AI narrative.
Yeah.
Agreed to mispronounce.
So,
Oh,
yeah, mispronounced names and cities. I hate to say this, but Denise never comes out as Denise ever. Our last name is Pridemore, and they can't even get that right. And I
Right.
mean, it's Pride then more. How hard is this?
Right.
These are common words, and I don't know why they have to make it the I a soft I, or no, make it a harder I. Pridamore, Prid. I'm like
Yeah.
Pragmore.
Pragmore. That one's hard.
we've noticed that as they're going along and trying to say Pride more, and it says Pridamore, it'll say Pride more at one point.
Yeah, it's sometimes it guesses. Like it's almost like it's
Yeah.
guessing each time it says the word.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like, well, we'll
Well-
get it right sometime during it.
Specific word, but like just some word that you'll hear in a video, and it'll repeat that word later and get it right, and they get it wrong again. I don't know.
Zach even did it when he was in Atchison. He
yeah.
called it Atkins.
Mispronounces a lot.
He called it Atkinson and something else, and finally near the end he got it down to Atchison. I was like, you can change what I say, you can cut my voice up and make it say stuff I didn't say, but you can't fix his word that he can't say right.
Right.
But they
Nobody
could
wants to tell him he's wrong.
but they could edit what I said, but not what he said. I'm like, this
Right.
is bullshit.
That is bullshit. But
Yeah,
it's wrong. I work on phone stuff and the phone world in my work life, and sometimes that involves like those phone trees you might call into, and it's not a real person talking. Press 1 to go to this department, press 3 to go here.
Right.
We use some of those kind of AI tools now, and it's actually easier, because I used to have to record that stuff manually. So, now we just kind of type it in and it comes back and reads it back to us. Usually gets the words right. At least they're short sentences. They're not too long like a YouTube video. So,
Right.
yeah. I don't miss the automatic call dialers.
yeah, no, I didn't do that. We never did that. I don't work in that.
Sprint. I worked for Sprint.
Spamming. I work for a
So,
retail company.
and I don't think we have those anymore with the telecom I work for now. So
Yeah, we get less of that now. I haven't got a spam call like I used to. I'm sure I get some, but not as many. It seemed like the robo dialers were a real thing.
because we can delete them. We can block them now to keep them from calling us.
I used to block one. It called me every day, and I would block it, and it would just call back with another number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tammy has that same problem.
Do it
You
right
block
away.
them, they'll call back in 10 minutes on the same
yeah.
number.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
and
But they're
I've
getting
got-
smarter. They call back. They've got 15 different numbers that they call from,
I've
Yep.
had
and they'll
cases
call
where
each
people-
number. You block it,
block
they go
everyone.
back to the first
number.
one.
and it was faked. The work number was calling like other people, but it wasn't really calling them. Right? It was just somebody was spamming that number. So it looked like, I'm not going to name the company I worked with, looked like they were calling these people, and we have to go and talk to like their cell provider, I'd obviously look at our in-house phone system, make sure those calls weren't actually made and that sort of thing. So you can put a fake number in front of your actual phone number and spam people with it.
It scares me. The future scares me with this stuff. So
Oh, yeah. It's bad.
we've gotten things on in our stream, like spirits. I'm gonna say aliens because I think that's what they were, but I'm not quite sure. But with Nathaniel Gillis
Voices.
it was, they were talking to each other over, like, under us, and you can hear them saying wait, and it was just a really weird.
And swear.
Yeah, they were saying the F word.
Oh, yeah, something always gets
This-
wonky with Nathaniel.
Yeah,
He's an interesting guy.
but I mean, if they're coming through the stream that way,
Mhm.
what's it going to be?
We love him. He's a good dude, and he
Well,
thinks that he's a demonologist
And a UFO.
at his core, but he's very well spoken and well versed in ufology, and it tends to think that all that phenomena is one kind of dark thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Denise, we always talk about if you put the closed caption on, watching us live, different words come up in the closed caption than what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, I've
Yeah.
had that. I've
happens.
watched that.
Oh, we've done that a lot.
Yeah.
People have told us that in comments. Oh, something was said in your closed caption. Really? So we had to go back and rewatch it, and sure enough, it's there.
It's weird how that happens. I watch the closed captions a lot, and I'm like, that's not what they just said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. I mean,
Look.
watch a live video and put closed caption on and everything and listen to it and read the words down there. And a lot of times you go, that's not what that said.
None of the thing is when none of the words are said and it's a whole different sentence. Because I utilize Teams a lot for work, and I use the transcription because it's one thing to hear everything, but if it's transcribed, I can copy and paste. And one day somebody said something about permitting, and it said something about a monkey and a kangaroo, and I'm like, we don't have monkeys and kangaroos in this part of the country, so I know that that's not what it is. But I copied it and I pasted it and I sent it to the person. I said, "This is what it said you said," and they go,
good.
"Oh my god!" And they went back and they listened to the video and they go, "That's not even close to what I said." I said, "I know." I said, "That's why I had to reread it or listen to it and then hand type it to fix it." But because you send out your transcribed notes to everybody, and if somebody else is reading it and they're going, "What?
Yeah.
What the hell are they talking about?"
You're in
Because
the
the video
reading
goes
the
away,
hearing.
but you still got the transcription later.
Right.
That's funny.
So that's one of the
It's
things
true,
that
though.
you guys got to look at on because in Teams you can change what it said. You can type over it and fix it, but it is funny when you're re-listening to an hour and a half long meeting and suddenly something weird comes up.
Yeah, it's the perils of technology, but you got to think it's probably always been like that, right? What did people really think about airplanes when the Wright brothers were flying an airplane and started to see airplanes? Probably didn't trust them, probably thought some of them weren't real or were something else entirely. Stuff like
Birds.
that. There's always
Yeah,
been
maybe they thought it was a
Birds are
pterodactyl.
real. Yeah,
I love that. I want to get a shirt still to this
Yeah,
day.
that was-
Pigeons are liars.
that was the
Yes.
funniest thing.
That was
They
a
started that
Good movement. I love
that group started.
Oh, that guy that thought that the birds were all drones or something.
Oh, my
Yeah,
No,
yeah, he was
no,
totally made up.
it was
though.
made up.
He
He didn't
knew what
think
he was
I
doing.
know.
He started the rumor.
It was funny,
But it caught on.
and I
Like,
really want to.
people were talking about it.
that. Yeah,
Birds aren't real.
birds are real.
Pigeons are
Yeah,
alive.
I thought
Yeah.
that was hilarious. I was like, this guy's an idiot, and anybody who believes him is a bigger idiot.
Right.
That
They
was the
do.
thing. That was the thing.
But that was it. Yeah.
No, he
That was
knew what
the
he was
point.
doing. He did it intentionally. But
Well, yeah, it's how we're going to go back to that G word again. How gullible people are.
Oh, yeah.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Fish.
Nobody wants nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room half the time.
No. But
You
you
know,
know they're
Whether
gullible.
it's paranormal or not.
You know they're gullible when you see these videos that have 2 and 3 and 4 million views. People are gullible because if you look at it and go, yeah, this is fake, you tell everybody it wouldn't have that many views, but everybody's out. Oh, this is cool. And they share it and share it and share it.
It's marketing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a new world.
Mm.
You know, we're on TikTok, but we're never on TikTok. So I
I've
don't know
never
what
been
what
on
its AI
TikTok
is
and I
on it.
don't watch it. And
Maybe
No.
we're big on TikTok. I haven't signed into it in months.
I haven't done hardly anything on TikTok.
I haven't
I
had
doubt
it
it.
in over a year on my phone. I don't know.
yeah,
too.
I just look at it as if it truly is another country spying on us, I don't need any more spies watching what I'm doing. Google's doing a pretty damn good job as it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Google does a great job.
You just ask Google, anybody. I said the G word.
You're gonna set off the TV.
Yeah. If they're listening, it tells you when you sign up, you agree to them listening to your device.
Yeah.
Device
You
that-
check the box and say, yeah, please be on my phone.
Sure. Listen to everything we say.
You just gave it the right to
Yeah,
listen to
you gave
everything.
them permission.
So you
Your
can go,
TV.
hey Google, or hey Alexa, or Alexa, or
That's great.
Siri.
Wake everybody's stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. I know you.
Oh, that's okay. Mine's not on. But my grandson, he'll go, hey, Google, play the, what is it? It's a song with Marshmello and it's about monster trucks.
Mhm.
And he'll yell, Google play, and it's on every TV and tablet in their house at once.
Wow.
I mean, he's 3.
Isn't that great?
No,
Technology. Awesome.
he tries it here and it doesn't work. It only goes on his tablet. And he's like, well, why isn't it on the TV?
So we don't have everything through Google.
Yeah, we have
I
nothing.
don't use Google.
We did when our granddaughter and grandson lived here. She would be on a tablet and she'd be watching YouTube Kids. And at 3:00 in the morning, she would hit the button and all of a sudden the TV in our bedroom would come on with, Baby Shark.
Oh, crap.
Nice.
God.
What?
That's fun to wake up
So,
to.
well, it could have been a lot worse.
It could have.
So, oh yeah, Joe, get an Atari and a beer, and we're all good.
That's
Little bit
right.
of long, and we're all happy.
I
Yep.
still like the Atari. I'm with you.
Oh,
I'm getting an Atari
I love
t-shirt.
Tetris.
Natty Bo, right, Joe?
I loved Pitfall. It was my favorite game growing up. Huge fan.
Not just any beer.
National Bohemian, it is.
That sounds
Joe's
like
our friend. He's in Baltimore area, who's listening right now. So, when are you guys going back to doing your podcast?
Well, like I was saying a little earlier, we don't have any concrete dates and we keep giving them out and saying, oh, we're going to do it here. And then we don't end up doing it. So I don't want to really put any kind of date on it because we kind of broke a few of those dates already. We've had fun this summer. We went to Florida. We were in Daytona about a month ago
weeks
now.
ago. My mom's there. Yeah.
Yeah. And
About 6 hours from here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. Beaches are amazing. It's so nice and very different than the beaches up here. The sand is so much finer. And
Oh, yeah.
You should see our beaches.
Ours
Yeah.
are white.
what part of Florida are you in? Or can you say?
We're in the Panhandle over by
Gulf Coast.
Pensacola.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
look
Emerald
forward.
Coast.
Looks absolutely beautiful.
It
And,
does.
now
That's
it
why we
doesn't matter
moved here.
about the sharks, right? Because we got all kinds of sharks up here now.
Yeah.
So if you're afraid of sharks, you can't really go anywhere.
Yeah, but we got clear water, so at least we can see them.
Yeah, that's
True.
true. That's true.
Yeah, we'll be able to at
now.
least describe what's biting us.
That's another thing
Right.
we've been getting.
Where you
right?
can't.
We're talking about
Yeah,
fish.
you're
We
right.
we're getting hammerheads occasionally now.
Yeah.
Here.
Well,
Yeah.
see,
Yeah, those are cool. I'd like to see those.
Tarpon
those are
hammerhead.
more cooler water, because
Yeah.
I remember
Well,
seeing them off the coast
they'll-
of Maryland when I was growing up.
They'll
in Ocean
come
City.
through here
Is that right?
for a couple of
I've
weeks.
never
April,
seen one
yeah.
myself. I
Yeah.
didn't think they came up this far.
No.
Yeah, they.
Great whites will
Great
come
report.
through.
Yeah,
We get great
Oh,
ones.
yeah. So you guys have had hammerheads for
a little
years,
bit.
and
Oh.
because of the fact that
Ooh.
that's where they usually have their babies is up in that area.
Oh, and they migrate. Okay. So
Yeah. So
I
we
love-
had some have babies here last year. She had 40 babies
Oh,
Wow.
God.
between Gulf Shores and Pensacola.
Wow.
So
So
I
they're
want
not-
to be out there when something like that's happening. I would love to see a hammerhead more closely from the pier than from the beach in Ocean City.
Yeah,
You know,
agreed.
we like
From the
Yeah.
pier.
saltwater fishing. You know, we're into that, like surf fishing and that kind of thing. And we fish for striped bass, which is indigenous kind of to this area, but they migrate between, I think, like Maryland and that sort of part, and they work their way up north, and then they go back down. So
well, now you can go fish for tarpon.
yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
I'm
So
telling you,
you're
I've
saying-
got the article. I'll send it to you. It's unbelievable. He's got a picture of it, and it's huge. It's an enormous tarpon, and you never see those up here.
Yeah, we saw a guy he caught a bunch of them back a few months ago
Mhm.
when we were at the beach. But we also have mullet,
We have that.
unrelated to the hair. But
Yeah.
we found out that they have a mullet throwing festival here right on the border of Floribama. They throw the fish over the border.
Really?
Hmm.
I don't know why,
Yeah,
but
ask us why.
they charge you $40 to park.
Just
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a little landlocked there. There's not a lot of land.
Yeah, so
So-
those kind of things are getting in our way, like really getting the show going on any kind of regular basis. But we want to do something. Like when we stay away from it long enough, we want to do
Yeah, we missed
a
it.
show. We miss it. That's why it was really appreciated. You're asking us to come on
Yes,
because
thank you.
we haven't done this in a while. We go on Greg's show pretty regularly when Spirits Connect. And it's on
Mhm.
Wednesday nights. Give Greg a plug. And in that, we're doing double blind Estes method.
Mhm.
Connect spirits over the data waves, I guess. I don't know, through data packets or internet connections to see if, people that are on each side doing the Estes say things that are joined or linked, are talking the same spirit, different spirits with any kind of communications that makes sense. And that's a lot of fun. We kind of into the trance state thing and going into trance states to sort of channel these spirits and bring them out. And we've been doing that for a while. It's a good time. Check that out.
Other than
Greg's
that,
a good guy.
he is.
Yeah, yes.
We just don't have a set date to come back yet, though.
Well, you might as well wait till the weather's kind of crappy.
Right?
Right. All right. Try to get in like a camping trip or something before, school starts and all that.
Yeah.
So,
When does school start up there?
The
Uh,
28th of
end
this
of the
month.
month. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty
Yeah,
soon.
we already started.
Did you really?
Yes, yesterday was the first day of school up in our area.
Yeah, and ours started back on the 10th, but we don't have any kids, so I don't care. I mean, we have adult children, but they don't go to school,
Right.
so doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me.
Oh, we're getting there. We're almost there. 1 or 2 more years, and we're both out
So-
of that.
So Joe has a talking question here.
Yep.
He wants to know, so what's y'all's feeling on reincarnation? I've been doing some research and found there was a first mate on the Titanic that survived that had the same first, middle, and last name as a Confederate soldier at Antietam.
Confederate.
Okay. And died in combat,
Two different. Yeah.
but also had my first, middle, and last name, and it caught his interest. So what are your thoughts on that? On
I get something to
reincarnation?
say about that. Okay, so one theory is that there are different parts of a spirit, and we sort of believe this. Like there are a lot of cultures, like the Egyptians believed, I think it was like 7 or 9 different parts of a soul, of a spirit, the Ka, the Ba, these different aspects, all kind of went different directions when a person passed, and it's thought in a lot of cultures that they sort of meld, right? So one aspect of a person, and it might be like a personality aspect, goes on, and it doesn't explain the naming thing. I don't know about that. I would fact check that part, but I think this comes up a lot where people think, I am the reincarnation of Elvis and seem to know some sort of information about Elvis they couldn't possibly know. But if they're in a sort of melting pot of spirit and it comes back to somebody else, and they could certainly be part of that other person, and not fully a reincarnated version of, say, Elvis, or or a soldier, but maybe know some things about it. So I think it's possible.
But the odds of being reincarnated with the same name,
yeah, that's weird.
that's weird.
Well, I mean, is it just different timelines?
Yeah.
We're all the same person all the time, and then we're just on a different timeline.
I like
Mhm.
that. Yes.
That's
Well,
possible.
say, I wonder if you had any pictures of these people. Find the names. Do they have a picture to go with it?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Now
I
that
mean,
would
it's
be
like-
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen pictures of John Travolta and Nicolas Cage.
Mm.
Are those real photographs of real people who existed back then, or were these created to look like them? Again, we're back to
Yeah.
what's real and what's not real.
Well, you had a
AI
medium.
aspect, right? And then everybody has a
Photoshop.
doppelganger. I'm sure everybody in
I know, I do.
has
Oh
been-
yeah.
If
Oh, I know
you-
somebody who looks just like you.
Yeah.
And you'd be, say 40 years ago and be like, what?
I've had that happen a lot when I drove over the road. I was an owner operator for 20 years, right? I pulled into a truck stop up in Wyoming, up there. Went in, sat down with my thermos and a cup of coffee, and the waitress came up and goes, "You need your thermos filled again?" And I went, "I just got here." And she goes, "No, you was just in here 30 minutes ago."
Wow.
That's
And
true.
I'm going, "Well, okay." And I've had that happen several different restaurants around the country.
Oh, it's
So everybody's got a doppelganger somewhere. It may have more than one.
Oh yeah, Ron
Yeah.
saw. So when we moved, I was in Maryland, and he came to Maryland, and I was at my job, and my mom, we'd picked him up at the airport, so my mom was bringing him to where I worked, and they saw this girl walking, and they thought it was me. My mom looked again, and she goes, "No, she's still at work," because I worked for Friendly, so I had a little blue and white dress, and she's like, "No, that wouldn't be her." And so they get there, and then they tell me about this, and it's like, I'm not surprised. And they go, "Why?" And I said, "Because
Well, yeah, the only difference is her hair was a little more blonde.
but my best
But other
friend,
than that, look,
yeah, my best friend from 3rd grade to now, she looks very similar to me. The only difference is she's better built than I am. She's got much more. Let's say she has a much more need for gravity than I do. So she's a little top heavy. And but yeah, we got mixed up. People mixed us up all the time.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. I think in today's world, as opposed to maybe when we were all growing up, it was probably easy explainable. You can just Google something and find the answer. But it's odd when people say it to you repeatedly, like, "Oh, I know somebody who looks just like you." Like, it seems impossible, but it's not. There's a lot of us out there.
No, I mean, I think our genes are all so intermingled
Mm-hmm.
with, you don't even know who you're related to. For instance, we had a lady that reached out to me, and she asked if we would speak. And she went on to say that her family's name was Pridemore as well, which, we never hear that. Every Pridemore we know we're related to, And she goes on to tell us that Johnny Depp is a Pridemore, part of the Pridemore family somewhere.
Oh,
It's like, I don't care. But, it's just one of those weird things. It's not a common name. You don't hear it that often. And then not 2 weeks ago, there was a woman here in our area whose last name is her maiden name is Pridemore. And I just thought that was odd. We started talking to figure out if we're related. And
that's one in Alabama.
No, there's one here in Milton
Oh,
as well. But, it's unusual when you see a name that you never see. But when we lived in Kansas City, this woman had the same name as me, Lula Pridemore.
there you go.
And her middle name was Bernice, and I'm Denise. And we went to the same doctors and all this stuff. And I know Ron remembers this. We went to the hospital. I was having some tests run. and they asked me if my birthday was 11/14/39. And I looked at them and I said, yes, and I'm here for a pregnancy test. Because if it was 1939, I would have probably been 60 something years old at the time. So, I kind of had to laugh. But it was funny when Larry Pridemore died, her husband, I got all kinds of condolence emails at work.
Is that
And I
right?
said, yeah. I'm like, really? He died? And they go, yeah. And I go, oh. I said, apparently you guys think I marry him with one foot on a banana peel and one foot in the grave. Because he was 80 something. And I wasn't even yet. No, I guess I was just 30 at 32. So I wasn't that old, but it was just weird. So, when we look at all this stuff, we just don't know where our genes have been.
Right.
That's true.
The DNA tests show that our genes, our families were apparently very nomadic.
Yes.
And they like to move around because we just got DNA all over the place, which might sound
Oh, yeah.
in the way I just said that.
Yeah, it does.
But
I used to tease everybody
lot
that
behind
my family members were intermarried. And
Another word for slut bag.
My-
DNA everywhere.
yeah. Well, my family, we teased about all my cousins being related to cousins, because I have double first cousins and stuff like that, which is totally normal when you think about when I go into it. But I go, yeah, my dad's from Lynchburg and my mom was from Saltville, and they never crossed paths until they met. So I make sure everybody knows that my family's not inbred, at least not my part. Now, some other parts might be, but my part is not.
Well, that's like growing up. Here I was little and everything. And on mom's side of the family, we had Uncle Mac, right? That was married to one of mom's cousins or something like that. We always called him Uncle Mac, right? Even mom did, Uncle Mac. Well, he got divorced. He married dad's sister, who became now mom's brother-in-law,
Mm.
but was still Uncle Mac to us. When you're little and you're going, our family tree didn't fork there somewhere,
Yeah.
Right.
And how could you be on mom's side and then on dad's side and still you're my uncle? And I'm little, 3-4 years old, trying to figure this crap
Yeah,
out.
that's
Well,
What
like I
side of the
said,
table do
I
you
have
sit on?
double first cousins. My grandfather's sister married my grandmother's brother.
Hmm.
And so we ended up with grandma and grandpa, and then Aunt Belle and Uncle JW. And they ended up having kids, and double first cousins happened. And then you go through the family tree, and then we have one aunt had all these kids, and they were raised by 5 other people that were all family members. And grandma did stuff she shouldn't have done and got pregnant, and
the whole family did.
a whole different thing. And so we ended up with all these kids and all these people in the family that our family tree looks a little lopsided.
Lopsided on one side.
And the other side's like flat.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
there's-
know, you hear them stories and you're going, okay, what did my relatives do way back then?
there's a gas shortage.
Yeah,
There was no internet.
Yeah,
there was
internet.
no
There was a
internet.
gas shortage. They had no money. Had no heat. Had to
Was
stay
winter.
warm.
It's like we tell the kids, you had to go out and play.
No electricity. So when the dark came, guess what? Had to do something.
By the
Don't
DNA
need light for
comment,
that.
I in no way meant that we're inbred. But by the way, I'm just going to put that out there. I just meant that we have a lot of people
Yeah.
behind us.
Well,
Yeah.
Joe did mention that the ones people in Atchison, they are doing a lot of inbreeding there. That is true.
So,
Oh yeah, Tom.
Tom was murdered.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tom.
yeah. That did
I'm sure,
happen.
yeah.
That did happen.
Yeah.
That name got murdered.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like,
Well, there are a lot of murders in Chicago, so
Well, you add in common names like Thompson, Thomas, Myers, Smith,
yeah.
Roach.
Nicholas. Yeah.
Yeah, it
A
is.
lot of those.
We're gonna have them. All
Right.
these names are gonna crisscross somewhere. So,
I know.
do you guys do any genealogy type stuff?
Just our 21andMe or whatever it was we did.
We did My Heritage.
My Heritage. It was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you use that website often for anything?
Once in a while.
Once in a while,
We get emails, new editions and that kind of stuff, and go and check it out. I mean, it's interesting. Certainly.
Some
it's
of
kind
those stories are interesting because April,
Right.
who just came in the chat, and Crystal, their sisters, are my
He
cousins,
knows all about breeding.
and they're part of 23andMe, or at least they've done some of that,
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to
that's right,
find
they
out
did.
some of the history of our family. And she says that she uses all of them.
Yeah.
April does. So, but she's the one that, in the family that got the weird. We share a weird grandma that she's a slut. We're just gonna-
You gather around.
Grandma got hit
And
by a reindeer.
I'm making light of an old situation. It all happened before any of us were born. So,
Hey,
That's very true.
but
maybe we're here to learn
And-
from mistakes. Who knows?
yeah,
And
maybe
apparently
that's it.
really good stuff happened. You guys are here, so
That's right.
That's
what
what I
you
say.
right?
We got some good stuff out of it. We're, April and I and Crystal are all close, and I like it that way.
Oh, that's great.
Regardless,
See
if
that?
it hadn't been for Grandma, we wouldn't have
right.
known. So
Most of my relatives are dead, so I'm not really sure what they did. Maybe some stuff happened. It's
well,
hard to
every
know.
vacation, Ron learned something new about my family that he didn't know. So it's always interesting.
Yeah, it's tough.
I got to start recording them so people can hear the truth. This is really my family.
Thank God there's no test after that.
No.
Man, I can't keep up.
So, where can everybody find you guys when your show comes back?
Well, we have 2 Facebook channels, and we're on Facebook, and we have a YouTube as well. And it's Bigfoot and the Bunny, and the Bunny, not in the
Not
Bunny.
in the bunny. In the
Some
bunny.
people like to say Bigfoot and the Bunny.
Yes.
That poor bunny. And Dark Horse Paranormal. So if you look up on YouTube, we're youtube.com/@Dark Horse Paranormal. And you can find our Facebooks by just looking for those names, Bigfoot and the Bunny or Dark Horse Paranormal. And you can see what we've done. We do encourage people to check out the YouTube. There's more stuff on there
Yes.
than there is on the Facebook.
Mhm.
Stuff we only did on YouTube is there, as well as those audio podcasts that we were talking about earlier, including the Indigenous folk, one on the Civil War.
We have 3 on the dreaded D word.
Yeah, we had
Demons.
the D word demons, where we talked to demonologists, then kind of delved into that subject a little bit, because at that time it was just such a hot topic, and certain shows were just talking about the D word all
yeah.
the time.
Also,
So we wanted to talk to some credible people about it. And there's all kinds of stuff out there. So, do check it out. And,
Yes.
we'll let people know when we do something, whether it be more videos or write a book, something like
we got
that.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot of
just
stuff we
need
wanna do.
coordinate
It's just
it.
Putting the time into doing it and staying afloat out here and trying to enjoy
Yeah.
this life.
Is your book still in print?
I think it's still on Amazon. I let Clarissa just kind of run with that. She has a lot of books on Amazon. They're great books. Definitely check it out. You could probably find it on there. I think I got a copy.
Yeah, it's called Debunking Paranormal Myths, Experiencing Psychosomatic Pareidoia.
Yes, it's really long.
Yeah, it was a really good book. We read it. I read most of it before I got on the plane, and he read it on the plane. So it's not
That's it
yeah,
there.
it's not a huge
Yeah, it was an easy read.
easy read.
Yeah, it's really
Easily
light. There's some
understandable.
humor in it. It is definitely like a debunking book. I think in a certain way, I'm not as strict now in a way, because I found some of that pareidolia was actually stuff, and some of that stuff was actually pareidolia. So it's one of those things,
Right.
But it's cool, and I think you can find it, and you can look up my name, Chris Carr, on there. And yeah, the long name, that was Clarissa. Debunking common paranormal myths, exploring psychosomatic pareidoia. Which, yeah, cool stuff. No, thank you for bringing it up.
And that was back in probably what, 2018?
I think it's even older than that.
Oh, that's got to be older than that.
Yeah.
No, I got a feeling 2018.
You got a date on it? Is it 2018?
I don't have the book in front of me.
Last time we
2018, you're right. It is May 2018. First edition.
Very good.
So there you go.
Because I think
Including
you guys had just gotten the book out when we interviewed you guys on Las Vegas Paranormal with Reverend Sean Whittington. Is
Yes.
on one of our trips out there.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. Yeah,
See, I got good memory.
You do.
You do. You have an excellent
You
memory.
do. You have an excellent memory.
I can't remember what I did last week.
I can't remember what I did 2 hours ago.
Oh, I haven't eaten today, so that makes it easy.
But it's funny.
Wow.
Some things stand out, you know, like we talked about haunted childhoods and that kind of stuff like that. That sort of thing is stands out to me like it happened
Yesterday.
last week or yesterday or
Yeah.
something. But asked me some kind of date related question and I'm like, what?
That's the thing about trauma, though. Trauma stays with you more than a happy memory does.
Yeah, it was traumatic.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
for sure. Especially she wouldn't even
That
touch
time
it.
we were getting grandkids and going to Vegas a lot to see the grandbabies. So it was, you know, the trips were fun. I remember them because of that. So, and in fact, right after that trip is when I had the collapsed lung and all kinds of other stuff. And you guys came on my show not long after that and ended up on the same network as me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
Glad we did.
but yeah, and not only did I end up with something horrible, so did Kat. That was when she
Really?
ended up with the broken leg and all that.
That's every
Oh,
time
no.
she went to Key West.
It,
Oh, yeah.
2018 is an easy year to remember.
Oh, you get some
It
stand up.
really sucked.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear
So-
that.
yeah.
It's okay. It's part of life, and it made me who I am. So, you know, it is what it is. But I'd like to thank you guys so much for coming on. You guys go out there and
Right.
check out Dark Horse Paranormal and Bigfoot and the Bunny. And you can catch me every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central on the Paranormal Pride, right here on the Bill of Rights Network, and all the places that you've caught us at tonight. And I'm also part of Things Network now. So me and Ron both are. So you can find us there as well. And check us out on Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. Central, right here for Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal, and whichever interesting guest I find for that week. Carl, where else can they find
Right.
us?
They can find us on the Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment's Facebook page. You can find us on Things Network's Facebook page. I'm Things chapter of Things in Missouri. And you can find us on Rumble on Born TV. So you'll always catch all the shows on the Bill of Rights Network on Bill of Rights Network and Born TV on Rumble. And after this show, in about an hour and a half, will be the Conservative View with Phoenix and myself. And then tomorrow night, starting at 6 p.m., Bad to the Bone Paranormal on the Bill of Rights Network and Paranormal Experienced on the network with Kat Hobson. So check all them shows out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having
Thank you
us.
for having us.
We
Yeah.
appreciate you.
This
very
has
much.
Anytime you two want to come back on the show, just let Denise
Just reach
know
out.
or me know. And
Absolutely. I will do
And-
that when we got something that we're trying to promote and get word out.
yeah. And if
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever want to, when you do your podcast and you want to bring it to the network, let me know
Cool.
and everything, because we go everywhere. So,
Thank you.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been a good time talking to you guys.
right.
Thank-
So everybody
thank
have
you,
a good
guys.
evening, and we'll see you here next Tuesday night on Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. Have a good evening.
Good night,
Good night.
everybody.